Hi, I don't have any secrets, but now I feel like I should have one. But now I'm wondering what yours is. It's the one that where you learned how to juggle. Okay, I cannot wait to hear this. Yes, I can't. This Our guest is a friend of mine who lives in the UK, and she's a fantastic photographer and photo editor, and has just a beautiful collection of photography in like the a fine art kind of form. So, welcome to the podcast, Angelica Hyde. Yay! Nice to see you again. That's okay. It's real life, and we're here for it. Yes. Yes, I cannot wait for that. It's, yeah. Oh, I love that. I love it. I want to see it. You'll have to send me pictures. Oh, yeah. I get it though. I have a closet full myself, and I've sold some off, and then I forget that I sold it, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's in here somewhere," and then I'll go through and like it's gone, and then I'm freaking out. And so I learned I probably should just never sell them. Just keep them forever. Mhm. Ha- ha- and then you fill the more space. Of course. Do you really have that many? I love it. How do we spin this? How do we spin this so it doesn't sound like a problem? It sounds like something to celebrate. Oh, right. Uh, in the chat, Archer said she's a collector and a connoisseur. There you go. Now it's like collecting artwork. You would never be shamed for having beautiful pieces of artwork on your wall and having maybe a little too many. Or whatever. But you filling your home with that would be applauded. So I think you're just a collector and connoisseur. Oh, yes. As you should. That is so amazing. Can I pause for just a second? I need to pause. I'm sorry. We are having a technical issue. And so I need to just like, I'll cut this part out. But I need to fix it because our audience is having a hard time hearing the two audio channels that both of you are. Oh, sorry, Trey, you saw that. The two audio channels you're on, our audience can't hear. They can hear me, which is terrible. So, right, it's just silence. So I've been trying to work on it. I need to fix it. If we're going to stay live so we don't lose the feed for everybody, but if you'll just give me a second to pause, I'm going to fix this. I think I know how. Also, stop typing in this private chat if you would, because it's showing up on the screen the way I have it set up right now. So please don't. I'll be right back. Sorry, give me a second and you'll be able to. I just can't right now. Okay. All right, here we go. It's something with the desktop audio. So I'm just I'll keep talking so people know we're actually live. La 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 la. We're live, everyone. The problem with it is we are experiencing the channels that our guest and Trey are on are not able to be heard, and we don't want that. So I'm going to fix it so they can be heard. And it's kind of it's kind of an unprofessional way to fix it, but at least it'll be fixed, right? If no one can tell, right? I don't know why the audio isn't going through. It's still not working, I don't think. If anybody out there can hear, hey, Trey or Angelica, if you can say something, so see if people can hear that. Yeah. I can see my mic going, and I can see that yours isn't. And I don't know how to fix that. Well, it won't hurt our recording because I'm recording before it. I'm capturing it before it goes out. So, yeah, I can't hear Trey. I don't think they can. Well, we'll just we haven't run into this problem before. This is a new one for us. And I've reset what I can, and I'm not sure how to fix it because our last stream was fine. I don't know why this one would be different. Josh could because he is probably listening through Restream and not through yeah. Uh, yeah, it's definitely on this end, and it's OBS. If you're listening, it's you. It's the software is not somehow capturing the desktop audio, which is U2, versus my mic, which is a separate channel. And I cannot figure out. I've tried all the other channels. Oh, hold on. I think I might have figured out what's going on. Oh, it works.
Yeah, you have technical knowledge.
It worked.
I couldn't do
figured out what
anything
it
like
was.
that.
Sometimes I feel that way too. Okay.
People have just been thinking you've just been sitting there talking to yourself.
Right. Can anyone in our audience verify that? Oh, good. They can hear. All right, let's
Yay.
continue. I hope you remember what you were talking about. I'm so sorry.
The woods and the bushes.
You were talking about how with photography, people think that you're shooting in these huge spaces, and you said all you really need is like 1 square meter. And
Pretty much, yeah. Like maybe I'm guessing that as a measurement, but that sounds about right. Really, is like you can be in like a car park for a train station or a supermarket and see like a tiny bit of foliage that looks nice, and actually that's all you need, because as long as like you've maybe got about that much either side of the model's head, if you just want a headshot, or a little bit wider, but people seem to think you're shooting in these like massive bushes. They're like, where on earth do you find these locations? And I'm like, oh yeah, I just shot it in the car park or at the side of the road. And people look at me like I'm absolutely bonkers. And I think it's sort of being able to see those spaces that you can use, and that being able to see that you could maybe make it into something more just with the photograph, because the photograph, of course, when you're taking a picture, you're only capturing a certain frame. Like the cars going past like that far away, they're not on there, so they don't matter.
Right. A few years
Go.
ago, there was kind of a trend happening. I saw it on TikTok and a few other videos where people were going into stores that sold fake flowers, like craft stores and places like that were selling like silk flowers or fake flowers, and they were going in and doing like selfies or photo shoots with just, you know, the model or whoever, or it could be a selfie. So they'd like crouch down in the flowers and then take the picture as if they were surrounding them, and then they'd leave the store, which
the store owners probably didn't like very much.
Maybe not, but it was kind of a trend going on for a little while over here.
I never saw that. I'm a weird one when it comes to fake flowers. Like, I have no problem with them, but I don't use them so much in what I do. I'd never be averse to using them if they fitted a certain theme. But like, I'm terrible, because of course you can never 100% guarantee when certain flowers are going to bloom, and usually they're only around for about 2 weeks. So like blossom, for example, comes around for 2 weeks, and then there's this bush that makes a purple flower. I think it's actually called lilac bush that I like, that only lasts about 2 weeks. And then there's another, I think it's apple blossom, that's this beautiful pink that probably doesn't even last 2 weeks. So I'd like previously schedule models all through like March, April and May, just praying that I get those specific weeks where I'll get the bushes, and I'll be making my partner drive me around all these streets, and just like he'll be sitting there chatting to me, and I'll go, bush, in the kind of like, oh my god, like, stop it. But yeah,
stop.
Every time I found this new bush that I'd never shot in before, like the excitement that, yeah.
I love it. But you're right, and you know what, you can tell that the flowers you're using are real, and that does make a difference.
Yeah. I do like that in photography, but I see people using fake flowers that can look amazing. It's just, that's not what I see, if that makes sense. Like there's a photographer over here that I've seen a couple of times using like giant flowers, and like I'm like, oh, that looks really cool in those shots. But and maybe it would look cool if I did something as well. I haven't really investigated the concept of a giant flower, to be honest with you. But then to me, it's slightly different from fake flowers, because I'd be like, if I bought fake flowers, I'd be like standing at a bush and poking them in to try and make them look like they were part of the bush, and it would probably defeat the purpose a little bit.
I get it. Yeah, you might see the difference.
Yeah, you might be like, why is that person stuck a load of fake flowers in a real bush?
That bush would never grow those.
I just think I was a bit bonkers, but then I am a bit bonkers, so I'll take it.
But in good ways.
I try to be, but I can't be 100% about that. I'm just nuts.
Which brings me to these journals.
The dresses, the journals. When I sort of get my teeth into something, I sort of, a little bit obsessive, borderline unhealthy.
Just borderline, though. Not
Only
full on.
borderline. The way I try to view it, if you want to turn it into like a little bit of a positive, is I don't actually allow myself many pleasures in life. Like, I'm quite focused on trying to get the mortgage paid off before I'm like 80. And just there's a lot of outgoings in life and stuff, and if something makes me smile and I can afford it, I don't often treat myself to things. Like, we don't really go out for meals or go on holiday or anything. So like, if there's something that makes me smile and I can afford to do it, then why not? Life's a bit too short. And you can feel free to tell the story of my journal mania.
Well, one day I got a message.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, I got a message from across the pond. Archie said, "Carpe diem." Yes, seize the day. So, you collect these journals. They are. I'm gonna say what they are. So, if anybody in our audience ever finds any, send them to me, and I will pass them on. I will send them to you. So, it's a Punch Studio journal. They're the ones from. They made them for a long time, but they're the kind that have a brooch, the sparkly like rhinestone brooch on the cover. Usually they have some kind of gilded, or like most of the time it's gold kind of accents on the paper, and they're beautiful. They have florals and butterflies and Paris and
Paris.
Lots of Paris. Peacocks and things like that. And they have many themes, and they still make them, but they're not the same.
They're not quite as nice.
They're a little different. They're a little more modernized. They're not quite
they'll do, but they're not the same.
So the old ones are out there still. They didn't they discontinued them, but they're out there in people's homes and at various secondhand stores and things like that. So we've been on the hunt to find them because most of them seem to be here in the U.S. And it's easy to find them on, well, I can't say easy, but you've just become a master at finding them on sites like Mercari, and OfferUp was a site. I don't know if we got any from there.
Poshmark. We didn't. Poshmark. We got some. Not OfferUp. I don't think we actually. Yeah, eBay.
Much. Yeah,
I check most days on eBay.
Yes.
And I think when I changed jobs and they put me on garden leave for the second part of my notice, which is here in the UK, is where they basically send you home and still pay you. And it was like, oh, brilliant. So I was up for like all hours in there just searching.
We got a lot
I think I'm
during
exhausted.
that time.
Yeah. Because I discovered Mercari at that point.
Right.
That was the issue.
Yeah,
we're probably safer on things like OfferUp and stuff because they block my IP address because I'm in the UK. Mercari still lets me browse, but it won't let me do very much without the app. Like, it's very annoying because basically I asked Emily to be my postal hub for my journal obsession, but Mercari won't actually let me physically buy it with a UK card, and it won't let me message people, so poor Emily has to check for messages from the crazy peacock lady.
Right. We had one.
What?
Oh, so there was this one journal. She did not send it because she couldn't find it, and she communicated with us fine. Of course, I was the only one that could see the messages. And she's
crazy.
I I hope she's not listening. She probably isn't.
I don't think she'll be
She's
listening.
crazy. Right. So she had this peacock journal, and it came with a peacock pen, which, by the way, the pen did not match the picture in the sale poster.
We didn't want the pen anyway.
No, it's terrible. Like, it's literally falling apart. I have it somewhere around here. Anyway, so she finally, after 2 or 3 months, she found it, and she shipped it. And then, so I opened the box. I didn't know for sure which one that was, like, because there are several that arrive sometimes.
All
So I
right.
opened it up, and there's the peacock journal and the peacock pen and a spider plant.
That was nearly dead.
It was nearly, yes, because it was in like early January or something. It was very cold here, and like a plant normally would not survive in these temperatures. And she shipped a little baby spider plant, and her note was so upbeat and cute, like, and here's a bonus little spider plant for you. And I was like, this poor thing.
This crazy lady. But a little bit of context. I decided in my nuttiness, because I'm just weird and I'm quite, I suppose, in touch with my emotions, if you like, that when I had my little girl, that I was going to journal for her all the time. It sounds incredibly morbid, but that hopefully if we get on very well in later life, and she does like me, when I die, she will have hundreds of books because I journal quite a lot. So yeah, it sounds morbid, but I'm hoping it's going to be a great idea. Poor little girl with she's going to have boxes and boxes of books, being like, oh my God, mother, what did you do? Why did you do this to me?
It's wonderful. No,
It is a great idea.
But I picked this particular theme of journal that's like really not that easy to get hold of anymore. And I was like, oh, what an idiot. So Emily has been absolutely amazing and has probably already posted 3 or 4 boxes of these things to me. And because if they all come from Emily, if they don't ship to if they ship to the UK, they probably charge a fortune, whereas Emily can ship like 10 or 15 at once and it will cost a lot less. And not one's got lost in the post yet. It's quite amazing. Yeah, we'll probably do another shipment, aren't we? Especially
I
after
think I might have enough to do another one now.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be some more coming in the next week or so let's hold out for those.
Okay.
You saw the one I found last night. I really like that one. Sorry.
Yes,
Terrible.
me too.
So yeah, I spend my spare time Google image searching, trying to find these things, because eBay blocks me. The one I found last night, eBay had blocked me from finding it because they didn't ship to the UK. So I found it on Google Images and I'm like, ooh.
Oh.
Yeah, they're sneaky that way. But see,
Yeah.
they could ship here, and then I can ship to you. So it works out. It's kind of a convoluted way, but we've mastered it at this point, I think. Or you have at least.
You're just amazing for doing it. And like I said earlier, I probably owe you depreciation on your post box. At some point, I'm probably going to have to buy you a new one. So yeah, I get into these things and end up sort of like just end up with loads of them. Journals currently my thing. Theatre dresses have been my thing for the photography. Hence, I think I'm good on that collection at the moment until I get back into it. And
I can't wait. Also, I see it as a positive. What you're doing with this is something I really did do still. I should say it that way. Believe in, because I think it's awesome. And Adeline's going to really, I predict that she will really appreciate it and
I hope
see
she
the
will.
effort that you put in. You should probably write in there like what you've gone through to get.
Oh, I do. I've told her all about you.
Oh, right. You sent me that one page.
Yeah. Oh, I told her about you before. And
Okay.
yeah, about how you're helping me collect all these journals. And I got another package from Emily today. I got these journals. But yeah, no, a lot of them are very religious as well. And I'm not, and most of them are not religious, but there's a specific division that do religious ones. And I'm not in any way averse to religion, but I want her to grow up and be who she's going to be. But then the market of these beautiful journals is so limited. So I kind of had to broaden my horizons and go into the religious ones. So now I get like pretty stickers and stick them over the words. So like one of them says, he fills my life with good things. So I got some little stickers and I stuck an S. So it's like, she fills my life with good things and it's about her. try and alter the meaning.
And some of the
Cool.
religious ones still have really great sayings on them that are just positive, or
Yeah.
like all things are
So
possible, or things like that.
exactly, that's just like lovely. And like there's another one that says, I think the one I'm writing at the moment says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, and I just kind of stuck stuff over it, so it says I can do all things.
And still a positive message. Yeah.
Yeah. But not that, like, I mean, I know that wasn't exactly how it was intended, but you can get some really pretty stickers, and it's just more neutral, and it's not, yeah.
Archer in our chat says, "I have a box of my dad's writings, manuscripts, and memoirs. It's such a pretty great connection to him now that he's gone. So I heartily apply. Wow, I can't read. So I heartily applaud you doing this for her."
Yeah. Oh, someone else understands my craziness. It's amazing. No, I do, and I just thought, I don't know why I thought of it, and I was doing it when I was on maternity leave, and like I think I filled a book in about 4 months, and then oh yeah, you should you say oh wow to that. Like Emily knows, so I've ended up writing every day. Like I put her down to bed and write every day, and now I seem to be getting through a book every 6 to 8 weeks. Oh dear. This poor child. When I said hundreds, I literally meant hundreds.
Well, what a great gift to be able to go back and kind of read day over day what that life was like, and just get that same sort of experience. You can get so much out of reading that. There's a set of books that I've had on my list for a while, and it's Ned Rorem's. He's a composer. In his Parisian journals, he spent a lot of time over in Paris writing about um, just himself, life, other people, and things. They're quite salacious if you go look them up, but I'm not reading them for that. Um,
Right.
Emily, don't call me out like that. Um, but the real thing behind them is just it is such an insight to him as a person because he's writing so consistently. So I see that same sort of thing of you get to see who you are, what you're thinking about, what your goals are, and really by the time that that your daughter goes through them, I think she's going to be able to connect to them quite a bit.
I hope so. Like just the goals being survive every day, right? But yeah, on a serious note as well, it's actually amazing for me because I think the human memory. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's such a fallible thing. It seems to sort of only store those important things that, and you sort of think back to a certain period in time and you remember snippets. But when I write these things every day, that've been, I mean, as Emily well knows, I've had quite some trauma in my life, not over in more recent times. So a couple of the books where I was having a really difficult time, it was quite difficult reading, going back over that. But around that, especially around when she was really little and I was off on maternity leave with her, and like that was just an amazing time. And reading back, I would go, oh yeah, I remember that. But I probably never would have, even though it was only like 7, 8 months ago, like I would never have remembered it if something hadn't triggered me to remember it, because I sat down and just even silly little things, like I sat down and I just wrote, oh, your sister came round today, and because my partner has an older daughter, and we went to the park together and we did this and we did that. I probably wouldn't have remembered that specific day, that specific event, those things that happened, bar reading back and being like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. So it's kind of handy, even though for me, in a weird way.
Yeah. Especially
No,
when you're going. I'm sorry, Trey.
nope, you go.
Especially when you're going through something, like you said, is traumatic. A lot of times you're just trying to survive, so you're not retaining a lot of those memories. I
No.
find the same thing too when I've gone through various things, and especially if I haven't journaled at all, those memories are just gone.
Yeah. And I mean, for a little bit of context, I had a really difficult time at my old workplace, but I'm fine now. I got a new job with lovely, wonderful people, and I'm really happy in what I'm doing. But obviously, it was hard, and things were happening. and I was writing them down to her. So when I go back over those journals, I think even now, because that went on for a long time, that was quite something that built up for a period of time. So I can't say sort of like I'm 100%, I'm perfect, everything is, life is absolutely perfect. But I can say I'm in a much better place now. But even still, it's hard to go back and read over those things when you don't really want to remember them sometimes. I mean, maybe in 3 years' time, when I'm so far away from it, I can look back and go, yeah, that sucked. But yeah, I've wanted. I mean, I know I'm deviating a million miles from photography here, but
Okay.
I've wanted to be like 100% honest with her about where I've been and who I am, because that's sort of, for me, it's like she'll have that connection with me. I'll just swear a bit less than I do in real life, but she'll sort of have that connection of, who I really was, what I really went through, because life isn't a bed of roses at the end of the day.
And I love that there is that level of transparency. I feel like, at least from my perspective with my parents, that there was so much that just was not said because it was under the guise of they're trying to protect me from real life.
Yeah.
And I feel like being honest with your kids and having that moment of vulnerability, both from an artistic but also from a very person to person standpoint, really just makes such a deeper connection to say it's okay to not be okay when you're a parent. It's okay to not be okay when you're a kid.
Yeah.
So there's that level of mutual understanding and going, we're going to get through this together.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everything's okay bar murder. I'm not down with that. And really, I don't really want to do hard drugs either. But it's just I'm like, don't listen to me. Don't listen to what I'm saying. But yeah, like I think I certainly grew up, and like there's a lot in life, I think, where I think an older generation sort of believe very much in hiding your emotions and closing yourself off. And I actually don't think that's healthy. I mean, people seem to see that as like a sign of strength. And I really think actually sometimes talking about your pain and what you've been through is actually far stronger than trying to bottle it up and hide it and black it out and pretend it never happened. Because actually, I think if you talk about things and if you really, I don't know, share them and express yourself, that's how you get past them. I don't think you ever truly get past something if you hide from it or try and hide it from the world.
And
Exactly.
from totally agree. It's what is interesting is like I think about as you say that asking someone to start talking about a painting or start talking a piece of art that has no words, no connotations behind it. It is an image in front of you. How do you respond to this? And I've put this in front of people who are very guarded about their emotions, and they're very guarded. And I watch them be very guarded about talking about a painting, and they just go, "It's a painting. It's a photograph." And I'm like, "Well, how does it make you feel?" And the more that you start to pry, you start to watch the very similar things of being able to talk about their emotions and being able to describe art as being in a somewhat diminished capacity. Now, is that true for everybody? No. And I will say that humility, but it is a very interesting observation I've had about people that have been both guarded and then don't talk about art in that capacity.
But this is it's a concept because I suppose ultimately photography is art. I suppose for me it's a way of expressing what's inside me, whether that's like a childlike fairy tale fantasies with sort of a dark twist to them, but not one to say. I don't. This sound awful to say this about my mum, but I don't mean it in a negative way towards her. But she doesn't like my photography.
Oh.
What?
She looks at it and I show her and she's like, yeah, I don't like it. And for her it's very transparent. It's just not her thing. She certainly wouldn't see anything in what I do or what I create. She doesn't even look at it and think it's good because she didn't like it. If she looks at a photo I haven't edited, she'll be like, oh, that's much nicer, because it just doesn't kind of gel with her. And I suppose that's a similar it's difficult because she's not being critical. She's not trying to be horrible with saying it.
Right.
She just don't like it.
It's just not her. Like you said, it's not
Yeah.
her thing.
But it's sort of very black and white with her, as opposed to maybe someone looking at it and being more open to that kind of thing.
That's relatable. I used to be like that. It took me
Did
quite
you?
a while to be able to see art and appreciate it for what it was, even if it wasn't my thing.
Okay.
I can now. It took being around more artists and seeing the work they put in, but also like just as I've grown as a person, I think that has also helped. There's definitely art people make that I would not put in my home, but are they amazing? Yeah. I'm never going to tell them I wouldn't put it in my home.
No, that'd be a bit mean. But I think, yeah, I mean, I agree with you in most parts. There are certain things that people call art that I still can't get behind. Like, I don't know, a tiny little dot on a big white wall. That just, I'm not even sure it's artistic because I just don't, I can't see that. I can see most things. Yeah. And then sell it for $1 million. And I'm like, excuse you? And it's probably more controversial, but over here there was someone made a piece of artwork and it was an unmade bed or a messy bed. And I'm like, I don't really relate to that so much, those sort of elements of art. But generally, I can appreciate all forms of art, really. There are just certain things that I'm like, no, how?
I can create an unmade bed every day.
Exactly. Except I'm not going to be paid a whole heap of money for it. It's just rude.
Oh, the crumpled up piece of paper. I remember that one too.
Yeah, that sort of thing I struggle with. And there's I think my partner said something about a piece of chewing gum on a sidewalk. Again, I'm like, how, just because you're someone important, you can put a piece of gum on a sidewalk and sell it for how much? It's not fair. But
over on TikTok, there was a recent thing about, I don't know how it happened. There are so many stories at this point, it's already become a legend, but it's about the sewer rat hole in New York. There's this, it's an image of, it literally looks like a chipmunk, a squirrel, a rat of some sort fell into wet cement, stayed there. They pulled it out and left just this like splat of this, or this like laying out of this animal in the side of it, in the side of the sidewalk. And there were some reports to the city. People found out that there were reports and that they were going to fill it in. And then it became this vigil. And so now people have recreated the sewer rat hole through 3D prints. They've done it through like putting it outside on their own front sidewalks. So it's just become its own thing.
Oh, I have not heard of that.
No, I hadn't heard of it. But I mean, obviously, I'm in the UK, so. But wow.
Sorry. Hi, I have weird things to talk about. I am chronically online.
Well, it's even Banksy, who has made a whole career on what would be graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Although I think arguably, his graffiti in a way is work of art.
Yes.
I mean, because you can still find art in graffiti, can't you? And people do it really beautifully. But yeah, rather than just like spraying an X on a wall in black and saying it's art, it's like maybe not so much. But maybe that's me being narrow-minded.
I mean, it still falls in the category of something I wouldn't put in my house.
Yeah.
But I think, graffiti is very artistic. There's people who do graffiti have this talent that I somehow don't have. At least, I don't know. I suppose some of that could come with practice, but some of the letters and things they do are phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of impressed by that.
Yeah, and also you think about when they do stuff in really big space, I'm like, how do they get everywhere?
Right. Right.
Like, you need wings, really. I'm sure they have ladders, probably have more human boring mechanisms. I think I don't random rambles. It's just reminded me. My other half has always been like amazing in terms of supporting my photography, and I decided I wanted wings, and he made some for me. I ordered cellophane that was like iridescent, and he got copper wire, I think, from his old workplace. And he I don't even know what he did, but he properly manipulated it all into the right shapes and stuff to stick the cellophane to. And it was crazy. He'd just spend his time after work doing this because I had this crazy notion that I wanted to put wings on somebody.
I love it.
That's
How big?
awesome.
How big were the wings?
Big. I'll send you a photo after this.
Okay.
One of the ones that we did with it.
Awesome.
There's a model called Ash Millman. She's lovely, and she's probably one of my most successful shoots, I think, because you obviously have successful shoots, but we shot multiple sets. It was very cold, and they were all some of my favorite pictures. I loved working with her. And yeah, she wore the wings, and then we put them on someone else actually. So
you've had phenomenal luck working with some really amazing models and people, and
I'm very lucky. I
Yeah.
can say no more than that. That just is. I just am really lucky.
I was wondering, I guess I want to back up. Hold on, my cat is just throwing everything off my desk.
Hugs.
She just went for my mouse. my
She knows.
I was like, please, I need that. And now she clicked. Okay, there we go. So, but as far as I want to know how you got started, because at one point you picked up a camera and did this type of photography for the first time. So how did that become a thing?
I used to model, believe it or
Yes,
not, once in a
I
while.
remember.
And yeah, it was a long time ago. And my partner did photography as well. And of course, I think you probably find it with all models. You're incredibly self-critical, issues with your face. I think I look fat in that. And I was terrible. We would go out and he'd take photos and I'd go through Lightroom and he'd be like, is that literally the only ones you like? And I'm like, yeah, you can't edit that. I look ugly in that, or I look like this, or I look like that. So he not got annoyed, but I think it was very frustrating for him how self-critical I was. And a couple of times he was sort of like, right, why don't you try taking pictures? And it's like, yeah. So we got his daughter, who's older. Well, not older. She's still very young. She's 25, but not the 1-year-old age.
Right.
And this would have been, so when I very first picked up a camera, this was late 2015. So this would have been about 8 years ago. So she should have been about 17. And we took her to the woods and I'm like, right, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. I'm going to put you in this dress. I'm going to do this. And he's like, oh my God, you're really running before you can walk here. You're putting her in this dress and you're taking this box and you're going to use this as a prop. And how do I get this to look like this? So, oh my God, what's the matter with you? And anyway, we just took pictures and I liked it. And yeah, that's sort of kind of how it started. He often talks to me and he says he finds it kind of hilarious that when I went from modelling to photography, he thought I'd be taking less stuff. But of course, now I got into all the gowns and I supply the gowns and I get headpieces and I've made things and I take huge bags, these huge IKEA bags, if you have them, they're the big blue ones, and I fill them with gowns and stuff everything in, and then I have him carrying 2 of the IKEA bags and I'm carrying 2 of them with a rucksack and a reflector, and he's like, my God, I thought when you moved to photography you'd be carrying less, you just have to take your camera bag. But no, you take more.
Relatable. Yes.
Yeah. Oops. You should never have suggested it. But yeah, I think it really helped when I first started out that I'd used to model, because I could tell people who I was and put a face to a name. And I think very much, although I know that, whether it's right or wrong, I think a lot of the time female models feel more comfortable around a female. So although I'd very first started out, I had a few photos I'd previously tinkered in Photoshop a little bit, because I would edit images of myself just to play with things, just for fun. So I already had a basic Photoshop knowledge, and a few people would approach me or be interested in working with me, and I think they were probably more open to working with a newer photographer because I was female, and also because they knew who I was. And then of course the moment you work with a few people, then you expand, don't you? Because your portfolio develops and people become interested in what they see, and then more people come to you, or when you go to other people, they're more receptive towards working with you because they can see you've got a wider body of work, sort of thing. So I would say the fact that I had modelled and the fact that I was female really helped in getting started out. And not going to sit here and go on about my real name here, but obviously I chose the name Angelica Hyde, and my partner thinks that helps. He thinks it's kind of catchy and got like a ring to it. You're interested in where my crazy name came from, I will divulge that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, please.
The Hyde element is it was my grandmother's married name, and it's my mum's maiden name. So that's where I came. That's fairly easy. And Angelica with the J specifically is after Angelica Houston.
Yes.
I absolutely adored her when I was a kid. Well, I still absolutely adore her. I think she's amazing. But I wrote to her when I was 11, and she wrote back to me. And while I was a kid and teenager, I have like this stack of letters that she used to write back to me. She's absolutely amazing. So, of course, she's one of the people that's had a major impact on my life, because famous people don't do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it had something to do with the fact that I was an 11-year-old kid being like, oh, amazing. Or I never know what it was, but she did write back to me. And in a lot of ways, that changed my life, because it told me or showed me how much good there was in people. That some people didn't get sort of like phased by their status in life, if you know what I mean. And yeah, so that's where my crazy name came from.
I love that.
But yeah, my partner feels like it has some kind of ring to it which attracts people to work with me. I mean, obviously, I've got to have that, has to somehow be backed up by work, but he thinks my name helps.
It's cool.
I'll take it.
I always thought it was cool.
I wish it was real.
I mean, just
go ahead.
a few pounds and a visit to the local office, you could have it legally be your name.
I know. But I feel like that would be weird. And also in my day job, which is what pays the bills, unfortunately, I use my real name. So, and of course you become known in, like, I work in financial services, technically. I suppose it's probably the broader scope of it. My job's relatively interesting, but I was never interested in pursuing, well, I say never interested. You know what? I would love to make money taking photographs of people's babies. I enjoy photographing babies. All babies are cute. You can't really go wrong with a baby. But I never want to photograph weddings. And I've never wanted to be paid to do what I do. There are some models that are absolutely outstanding, and I just can't see what I could do with them in my work. They can be absolutely stunning. And it's no negative representation on them. It's just, I'll just look at your face and be like, yeah, I can work something, or I can't. But that'll be my vision at the time. There might be one model 1 minute that, like, I can't envisage in my work, and then a year later I'll be like, yes, I've got it. I can see how I can do something. So right. It's a weird one on, like, choosing models. I'm not entirely sure where I was going with that. You just sort of like waffle off, and you're like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about, and then I'm like, hang on a minute, what point was I actually going there? Yeah, I'm having one of those moments.
I don't remember either.
It obviously wasn't very interesting.
We do have a question from the chat, though, and that is the Truth Found asked, do you have any advice for a young teenage girl who is curious about starting photography? Any tips on what to start with?
What makes you tick, I suppose. Sort of like, I know you want to do photography. What do you want to photograph? And then looking, I suppose, how to photograph it. I mean, realistically for me, photography in itself is not a complex thing. I was saying to Emily, I know how to adjust the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO on my camera, and that's about it. I'll accidentally stick it in video mode and phone my other half and be like, oh, what have I done? Fix it. Because I'm useless. I just know how to get the light how I want it. And all I do is I need a small space, I need a reflector for lighting, and I shoot everything I do outdoors. The sun is a battle. When it's
Yes.
really, really sunny, finding shady spots and stuff. But usually you can. So it's just learning what works for you. But I think the most important thing is, what do you want to photograph? What is it inside of you that you want to transpose onto the other side of the camera? I suppose for me, like, I would look at other people's photography and be like, well, the fine art side of things, so like the darker element and all the dresses and stuff, I love that. So I kind of delved into that, and then as you delve into it, you find out more and more and more about yourself. I think a lot of people have commented about, I'm quite into using colours, which a lot of that is Photoshop. And I've certainly developed more of a darker style than I had when I very first started. But I think the first key is to know what you want to photograph and know what you want to create roughly, and then practice those things and start making it happen. I mean, if it's inanimate objects, that's wonderful. That's easy because they're at your disposal all the time. If it's models, it's a bit trickier. But again, if you're a young girl, maybe you'd have, if it's models you wanted to shoot, hopefully you'd have lots of friends that wouldn't mind helping you out. Yeah, I'm going to stop waffling now.
But I think that's right on. And you have to start somewhere. So starting with something that's of your interest, and like you said, your previous work is not as dark as it is now. You've developed your style over time, and it can change.
Exactly. And sorry, by the way, if I make these squeaky noises, it's me moving around in my chair. It's kind of wedged up against my desk, and it's kind of going. But yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I think, I didn't start photographing the way I photograph immediately. It took time.
There was one thing you said that I wanted to clarify for people who don't realize how this works, and that is looking for shade and non-sunny days and sunny spots.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Can you explain to our audience why that's important, or at least for you?
Oh, so hang on a minute. I just pressed a button on my phone. I was looking. I want to see how much battery life I've got left, because I'm not entirely sure, and I'm using my phone, but yeah, I couldn't find it out. So on sunny days, if you photograph and like the sun's on a model, it's really glary. Even if you get the model with her back facing the sun, sometimes you can get some absolutely beautiful shots that way. You can get beautiful bokeh. But if it's not what you're going for, if you're going for a very consistent sort of like flat, if you like, light, which is typically what I do, that can be very difficult to work with. So for me, like, I'm always looking for something that's facing away from the sun. But I suppose, like, if I wanted to shoot in a bush, I'm looking for a bush that's at the time of day I'm shooting at is in the shade, because I don't want harsh light on the model's face. I don't want harsh shadows. I want a very even light, because that's how I like to shoot.
Yeah.
And it can be very challenging on very sunny days.
It's
I was the person, I would look at the weather forecast and be like, overcast, yes. I don't mind if it rains as long as it's not sunny. And everyone would just go, oh my God, you're mad. But yeah.
I get it. I do. That diffused light is what I go for too. The same person in the chat said, I am 13 and I see all my friends doing selfish. I think they just want... Selfies, probably, right? It's probably autocorrect. I think they just want their heart and personality to be seen, but they don't know how to show it. I want to take pictures of people to show who they are inside. Is taking people photos harder? I think all my friends are struggling to help find who they are, and I want to help. Is a cell phone okay to start? So there are two questions there.
So I think, why not? At the end of the day, I think there's a place for real cameras. I think certainly in terms of like editing and everything else, but when you're looking to find who you are and what you want to capture and what you enjoy shooting, then why not use the cell phone, I suppose, to begin with. Obviously I am a big believer in DSLRs, or the bigger sort of cameras, because you can get some amazing stuff with them. But I don't see why you should limit yourself if you don't have one. Um, in terms of sort of like your friends, is shooting people harder? People are often very self-critical, so they might not like your photos, and you may take that personally, even if it's actually a criticism of them about them, because we're all our own worst critics. Like we all hate ourselves more than anyone else in the world hates us. But in terms of like actually shooting them is harder. You're dealing with a moving object. If you wanted to do sort of like macro photography where you get really close to something, which I do sometimes because I make a bit of jewelry and I try and get really close up and shoot it, you can move your object. You can go outside, you can go inside, you've got as much time as you want with it because it's an inanimate object. When you're shooting people, you're left with the situation that you've got at the time. You know, you might be outside in a garden with a person, they might get cold and want to go indoors before you're ready, before you've got the shot that you want. They might be hungry, they might get bored, they might, you know, all of those aspects to it. So you're dealing with human nature. You're not dealing with something that you can go back to over and over again. You're left with the elements that you have to work with at that moment in time, being, is it sunny, is it cloudy, you're getting what you want. So it is harder because it's a moment in time that you have to work with. You haven't got all week, all month, all year until you can get what you want. But hopefully, yeah. And sorry, I'm going to go on a little bit more. But in terms of your friends, if they support what you want to do, just think about what you could do to bring out their personalities that you want to capture. Do they have specific fashion senses? Would you want them to get dressed in that way? Are they really, really happy people? I find the best way to capture people in their real selves, which I do. It's not the photography that I post, but I've been taking candid shots at weddings. I've taken candid shots of my family when they don't know that I'm taking them, you know. And my brother's partner has this like amazing smile. She's always really happy and she translates really, really well on camera. But the best thing to do is like, I'll be looking at her, but she'll just be looking away and she'll have this big laugh and she'll be laughing at something that's happening and capturing that moment. And you are capturing her being her real self because she doesn't even know you're taking the photo. So I find that to be the best way to do it, is like you just kind of tell your friends to just be themselves, or don't even let them know that you're photographing them. Just blend into the background and they can make amazing pictures.
I love that.
That is great advice.
Maybe. I don't know.
No.
I
There's-
do. Yeah. Go ahead, Trey. Sorry.
Sometimes, like, I think Emily and I have been talking about some of the some models or some stories that you've ever heard from other photographers that you've had where they've told models to just be themselves and they put on this like pose of things, and it reads as being like very fake, if I can say. Um, and so I'm curious, Emily, for you, how do you coach models through getting more of their personality to come through?
That's tricky because, yeah, a lot of people will say, "Oh, just tell me how to stand or just tell me how to pose." You've probably found that too. If you're working with real humans, which I tend to. I've worked with models, but mostly I've worked with real human beings that I can't, not that models aren't real human beings. I just realized how that sounded. But like non-model people, like just real people, my friends, and they're nervous, you know. I found
I'm just pointing at the little one who's got her head round the corner looking at me and smiling. So, but carry on. Sorry. Sorry.
Awesome. No, it's great. But I found that the first 30 minutes they just need to like, I just do a bunch of practice shots. If one of them turns out good, great. But usually the first half hour, none of them are going to be good. They're too nervous. They're too tense. They're too, even I may be nervous. I am still trying to see what light looks best. So coaching them kind of like, I'll start to do that, but it looks fake if they're doing something fake. So they have to get to where they feel comfortable being real, comfortable being genuine. I for lack of a better word, just comfortable being in their own skin in the moment. So for real people, I give them that 30 minutes, and then it kind of naturally just happens, give or take 5 minutes, where they just can like, all right, we're going to relax. And you can see the difference. You can see a huge difference. And then all I have to do, usually as far as coaching goes, to answer your question, usually then all I have to do is say, okay, like move your hand a little bit here, or turn your body a little bit this way, or let's capture this light over here instead. And I'm not having to necessarily coach them on their whole body or like their whole pose often, unless I have a specific idea. And it's a lot easier then. But that, at least for me, I found that that first half hour is kind of like a what, I don't know what to call it. It's like a
Warm up.
well, yes, thank you. That's perfect. A warm up time, because it's very rare, occasionally, but very rare for the first half hour of any photo shoot for me turns out any good pictures. And that takes the pressure off them if you say it. Because we go, you know what, for the first half hour, I don't expect any of these to be good. So, like, let's just play. And then they get into that mode of let's just play. And then that kind of breaks the ice a little.
Well, you do better than me. I'm not very good at coaching people. I say that. Like, I've been very lucky. I work with a lot of very experienced models, so I haven't really needed to a lot of the time. But, yeah, maybe I do. I don't know. Well,
You've worked with phenomenal models. And
I'm lucky.
Super, well, I don't want to say jealous, but one day I would love, we're going to, Trey and I have been talking about going over there again. I'm going to come over there and we'll do like all the.
With a suitcase full of journals.
Yes, with a suitcase full of journals. We'll see how many free check bags they allow. And we'll, what?
Sorry, we'll just go through TSA, and it'll just be like all they see are books in the X-ray machine.
They'll be like, what?
Don't
They're
question
gifts.
it.
Don't, yeah, just.
Yeah, they
Let's go
must
with
think, I'm a bit bonkers. I mean, they probably think I'm bonkers when they go through the X-ray machines at the airport when the UPS parcels come in and they're like, book, 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 book. What?
I mean, if they were books that were textbooks or other types of books, they may not question it, but.
Oh, I meant to tell you, one of ours got opened at customs and they checked the parcels. They're probably just like, what? Okay.
Like, they weren't lying. It really is a bunch of journals.
really is 15 books. But, yeah. Okay. By the way, I'm just letting you know I'm going to have to shoot off soon because
That's
it's
fine.
getting close to little Ben's bedtime. So I just thought I'd let you know rather than just being like, I've got to go now. So we've got.
That's
a little
okay.
bit of
We've
time
been
because-
on for a good hour or more now. So I wanted to tell you that the truth found in the chat said, "You are so nice. Thank you."
Aw, thank you. I'm sure he's talking about you, but
No, it was you.
No.
It was you.
That's you.
hey.
Angelica, this was really fun. You have a very unique perspective on art, and I think what you bring to the photography and really just to the artistic world is just, it's refreshing to have that level of honesty. And honestly, I also love the fact that you're journaling for your daughter, and so I would love to hear more about that once she's a little bit older and she starts reading some of them, if you let her. I'd love to hear more about that.
She's not allowed, not till I'm dead. Maybe. She might be allowed some of them, but then I think sometimes because I've done it in a view that she can have them when I'm gone and it can help her feel connected rather than while I'm still alive, I've maybe been a bit more honest that I would want to be. Like, there have been a few things I've spoken about where I've been like really candid, where I'm like, yeah, definitely not in your teenage years. Do you want to know that your mother has those thoughts? Not literally, but like if I've been feeling about like a negative situation, like as much as I may deal with it one way, like I may think about it in another. And sometimes I've maybe been more honest. And if she's a teenager, I wouldn't want her to think it's okay to feel negatively about things. I don't know what I want. I'm terrible. I know I'm just winging the whole parenthood thing. Like,
As anybody does.
hopefully I won't break her.
No, the fact that you're worried about that, I think just shows that you're going to be a great parent. So just breathe. Have, in the immortal words of a Disney movie, have courage and be kind.
Oh, I like that. They should put that on one of those journals someday.
Right? We have to make our own line of journals now, I think.
We do. I think we really need to. I mean, the thing is, these guys use really pretty paper, so we've got to somehow find access to this really pretty paper. But I think we'd make a great line of journals.
I mean, why not? People can self-publish, so why can't we put a journal together?
We should. We definitely should.
We'll get on that.
We're going to do this.
One day when we have time.
Oh, tell me about it.
Well, as we close this episode out, Angelica, thank you so much for joining. This
Thank you.
episode, along with probably every other podcast forever and ever, is dedicated to Joe Capone, our fellow moderator, comedian, encourager, and greatly missed friend. You can find us on social media. Follow us to find out updates, announcements, and more. Just search for Modern Romantic. Thanks, everybody, and have courage and be kind. Have a great day.